Hi everybody, welcome to this video. And today I'll walk you through a task to essay, and it comes from Cambridge IELTS 6 Test 1. All right, so let's get right into it. So since this is the first of the series that I'm gonna get into, all right, for the next I don't know for how long I'm gonna be doing this, but I plan on walking you through each and every single task that comes from Cambridge IELTS 6 to Cambridge IELTS 17. All right, so these are sort of like deep dives into the tasks that come from Cambridge IELTS, right? And why Cambridge IELTS? Well, the reason being, the main reason why I think Cambridge is the best source is because um, it is published by Cambridge English Assessment themselves, right? So Cambridge University, they do a great job, right, of giving us these materials that are pretty much a reflection of what you will probably see on the real exam, right? So now, how am I gonna deep dive, I think, yeah, dive deep into this. So I call this series a deep dive because we're gonna be doing deep dives into these questions in the sense that I'm gonna be explaining each and every single task that we have at hand, and I will walk you through what's going on in my head so that I give you a better idea of how someone with a 7.5 on writing approaches these tests. All right. Um, so we're gonna dive deep into this then. Let's get started. So the first thing that I always do is, of course, like I said in the previous video where I dive deep into Cambridge IELTS Test 1, Task 1, I think of writing as a three-step process, right? First, you think and plan, and then you write, and then you edit, okay? So these videos sort of like shed some light on how I do the first step, all right? How I go through the first step, how I complete it. Meaning that I'm just going to be explaining to you what I do before even getting started with writing. And then you guys will see my sample answer on my Telegram channel, publicly available, all right? So, um, and let's get started then. The first thing that I do is analyze the question, all right? So I analyze the question, and the way I analyze it is sort of like understand what the focus of the question is, all right? So let's read this then. Today, the high sales of popular consumer goods reflect the power of advertising and not the real needs of the society in which they're sold. Actually, I simplify, all right? So if the question that I have at hand is a little hard to understand, I sort of simplify it. Now, what does this prompt mean? All right, it means that today, um, consumer goods are being sold, let's say, are let's say are uh, being sold, let's say, how do I want to put this? Mm, or the high sales, all right, of popular consumer, and pay attention to popular, all right, popular consumer goods, all right, um, is because, all right, or are because of advertising, right? Not because people need it, all right? Need them. You see, this way I'm sort of like making it easier for myself to understand it, right? Now, make sure that you analyze the question as well as you possibly can, because sometimes we don't understand the question, and then what happens is that we end up writing something totally irrelevant. And for example, if I were to just go ahead and start writing, I would have probably not paid attention to popular consumer goods, right? So high sales of popular consumer goods. Think about iPhone 14, for example, you guys. So you see, that's what comes to your mind as you make sure that you closely scrutinize the question, which you otherwise wouldn't, right? So you wouldn't be able to understand what that popular, what those popular consumer goods are. All right, so you would end up writing about something, let's say, like just consumer goods, any consumer goods that you find. All right, but here every word combination is important. Otherwise, you'll probably score low for your task response. Right, so you'll get a low score for a task response. Remember that. And what's the focus of this question, or who is the focus of the question? It's the consumers, right? So consumers are the focus of this question. Like consumers are being targeted. And what's the issue here? The issue is so like the issue is that what advertising um, is making it look like, or let's say we are increasingly buying popular consumer goods such as iPhone 14, not because we want them, but because the advertising is so good, right? So I think I don't really want to write that much, all right, in this planning part, but I just think about it, right? So everything that I'm saying out loud to you is something that goes through my head, all right? Something that happens in my head. So the issue is advertising versus needs. I think, yeah, that pretty much sums it up, all right? So or let's say over needs, right? So yes, advertising over needs. Now, okay, so what's your position? What's your initial position? That's what you need to like. What is it like that you think about as soon as you look at this question? Well, I think yes, I agree. All right, but then you don't just stop here, because initial position, as you can see, I mean, what your position is? Do you agree or disagree? I think I agree because in my head, right, it just clicks. That's your first impression. But then you get into the next step, which is um, which is idea generation. All right. So you start with generating ideas as someone who both agrees with this, all right, and disagrees with this. So why do I agree, or why would I agree with this? Why would I agree that we increasingly buy a lot of popular consumer goods because of advertising rather than our needs? Well, I think it's because advertisers, right, sort of like craft their message in a way that, um, in a way that makes our makes us believe that their products are a necessity, right? Not a luxury, right? So if you really look at the messages of of different commercials or something, right? So I could then probably give that example, but again, this is only the initial steps of idea generation. I don't really get into that much. I just try to come up with as many ideas as possible, and this way I know which idea to cherry pick. You don't just start coming up with ideas and then you use that whatever the idea that comes to your mind first. No, it doesn't work like that. If it would, right, if it were to work like that, then um, everybody would be scoring band 7 and above right now, because you need to think and evaluate your idea. Sometimes your idea can be extended and given an example to, right? So an example can be given to back up that idea, but with most of your ideas just is not the case, right? Which is why try to come up with as many ideas as possible, and then shortlist, make a shortlist, like get rid of the ideas that don't really make that much sense to you. All right. And then I will also teach you how to do that, right, in a bit. So okay, this is my idea. Yes, it's true that advertisers specifically craft their message in a way that appeals to consumers in a way that makes the luxury sound like needs. For example, if you really think about it, you know, um, iPhone 14. I watched their commercial. I watched their advertising and realized that they made it look like so much like a need. All right, that you would want to buy it, like regardless of the price, right? I mean, they sort of installed, you know, they kind of incorporated, um, what, a health tracking system or something, like an SOS system, right? Which kind of goes off, the alarm goes off when, let's say, when in case of emergencies, right? So that really is something that they're trying to do, you know, to get you to believe that they're actually necessities, right? iPhone is a necessity. And again, I don't really have anything against iPhone. I'm just giving you an example. And being able to come up with such examples is just, you know, a whole other level. Now, another reason. Do you are there any reasons, um, any other reasons that I would agree with this? Mm, advertising over needs. Like, why would I agree that we're increasingly buying popular goods not because of advertising? I think, yes, we could probably give an example, like, um, celebrity endorsement, right? So celebrity endorsement is also another reason, I think. Like, for example, you have your favorite, you know, footballer on the stand, and then like he's giving you, you know, he's advertising the product that is, you know, a popular consumer product, and then you want to buy it because it's your favorite celebrity, you know. So in this way, you think that again, it's a need, right? So, but the main message here is advertising. Advertisers show that this is a need, not a necessity. All right. So, this is a necessity, not a luxury. Can we come up with any other reasons? Now, okay. Let me think. This could take a while. Yes. Why would I agree with this? Like, three reasons should be enough, you know. Uh, why would I agree with this? Celebrity endorsements, I use that. Um, mm, let me see. Uh, well, I can't really quite come up with anything else, to be honest. Like, now, let me just think even, you know, a bit more, right? So, high sales of consumer products, consumer goods reflect the power of advertising and not the real needs of the society in which they're sold. Um, okay, let me see. Let me see. To what extent do you agree with this? I agree with this because advertisers craft their messaging in a certain way. And okay, mm, yeah, I guess that should be enough, right? So why would I disagree with this? So you know, it's only when you also think about it from a different angle will you realize that you may have more ideas for the other side. You know, why would I disagree with this? So we buy a lot of things because we what? Because we need them, right? So can we come up with any reasons like why this is not true? Why this is not true? Well, because uh, most of the products, right? Uh, I don't know, probably like you see, the notion is about specific products, you know, not just about any products, but about specific products, like popular consumer goods. Um, and yes, like celebrity endorsement was a great one, by the way, you guys. So, um, now I'm like really thinking, you guys. So don't worry if I'm taking too much, all right? Like if I'm, you know, taking too long to say anything, or like if this seems a little monotonous, or if this sounds a little monotonous, because it is. That's what happens in my head as I try to come up with some ideas. Now, I'm trying to think of some examples, and when you think of some examples, the ideas just real, you know, come real quick, immediately come to your head. Mm, all right. Can we think of any? Yeah, I've got nothing, to be honest. So I can't really come up with anything for the other side, you know, which means that uh you know So we're talking about big brands, you guys. So I think, yeah, that's why like idea generation here would lean towards the would lean towards someone, right? No, or a position of agreeing with this, right? So that would be my position. I would agree now that I really, thought it through. And again, like with celebrity endorsement, now I'm getting ahead of myself, you guys. I'm getting ahead of myself. So how about we move on to step three, and then well, I couldn't come up with any other idea. If I had like more than two ideas, right, let's say three or four ideas, then I would have to shortlist them. But because I have all I have, like two ideas, you can't really have fewer ideas than two main ideas, because each body paragraph needs to have at least one main idea, right? But yeah, make sure you have at least one. Actually, the ideal version, right, is to have only one, not more. So step three would be a planning, and I apply what I call PEL method, right? So PEL, and it basically means point, right? So point Y, all right. So an explanation, let's say explanation is how how is that why possible, and then evidence, or let's say example, and how, right? So how does this how makes sense, how does the explanation hold true, and then link is sort of like so, all right, so what, right? So what are you saying, right? That's what it is, and this is the perfect structure, and this is actually not even a structure, but this is a basic structure for every academic paper. I believe, like for every cohesive academic paper. Now, what's my structure for the first? What's my reason for the first? What's my first idea? I think I'm gonna go with celebrity endorsement first. And you guys, this is important. Listen closely. It's also important that you know which idea to put in which paragraph, right? So, which one of these ideas should go first? Well, you should start with something not as strong. So I think celebrity endorsement is not as strong as this idea, which is why, this way there's that progression, overall progression throughout your message. And this is the way that IELTS tests your coherence and cohesion. So, okay, so what's my point? Advertisers craft, right? Uh, advertisers craft their message in a way that makes. Okay, so, actually, my celebrity endorsement, right? So why people buy? You see what I'm trying to do? I repeat the I repeat the question over and over again so that I'm not repeating it, so that I don't really end up, let's say, going off topic or going off on tangents. So why do people buy a lot of specific, consumer goods? For example, iPhone or Louis Vuitton, for example, we have different brands, right? Or Coca-Cola, right? So we could give an example of Coca-Cola, for example, for celebrity endorsement. Because of celebrity endorsement, meaning that their favorite celebrities appear on TV, and then it means that if they like it, then you must like it as well, right? So how celebrity endorsement what affects people? All right, so I think like imitation, right? So like young people tend to imitate, to not just young people, but imitation and admiration, right? Because they admire those people, they tend to imitate them, and imitation, and also trust. So and they trust their celebrities, which means that they have to follow them, right? And any example? So Coca-Cola, right? So Coca-Cola, how and by the way, you guys, your example should not repeat the same thing that your evidence, that your explanation is saying. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense. You might as well not have included an example in the first place. So we need to make it a bit more extreme. Coca-Cola, um, or let's say, uh, I don't know, like let's try to come up with something. Uh, Louis Vuitton is, for example, something that, I mean, we need to come up with some example from our own knowledge. Let me see if I have anything on that, like personally. Um, mm, or a lot of people here, right? In my country, that's also not a good example. So, a lot of people in my country mm, choose to what? Choose to um, yes, choose Pepsi, I believe, right? Choose Pepsi. I think, if I'm not mistaken, yes. Um, what was his name? Messi, right? Was one of these celebrities who actually advertised Pepsi, I believe, right? So choose Pepsi over Coke because Messi, uh, let's say, what? Or I think we could also talk about the. I remember the time when Cristiano Ronaldo, like, moved a Coke away. So I think that could also be given, right? So yeah, we'll see. Like, let's see what I will do in the sample answer. Because Pepsi likes the former, right? And even though the two are the same, yes. If you really think about it, Pepsi and Coke are pretty much the same. I mean, I've never seen the difference, even though the two are the same drinks. I believe. Like, again, you don't mind the language right now. It's planning. It's just sheer planning. We'll then move on to writing, and only then at the end, like when we have to do editing, will we focus on the language. All right. So this is the hierarchy of the things that you need to focus on. So you know, the first thing that you need to be concerned about is your thinking, or your reasoning, your critical analysis, and then the second thing is your ideas, and then the third thing is the way your ideas are like linked together, and then finally it is your language. So this would mean that, or this would mean that, so what if people choose one over the other? So it means that um, you know that product is um, is consumed more. So that's sort of like a conclusion. It should be linked back to the original point, all right? So celebrity endorsement means product will be consumed a lot more than it would if, let's say, so are there are no examples of Coke, for example, being endorsed, right, by a celebrity. So that's what we could give, right? So yeah, again, our planning should be just brief, um, and then can be later extended when we move on to the writing process. All right. So here, let me just quickly summarize what I mean. So, okay, advertising, all right, means like why do people spend why do people increasingly buy one popular consumer goods, yeah, right? Like certain popular consumer goods. Is it because of their needs, or is it because of their advertising? Well, it's because of advertising. Why? Well, because a lot of celebrities appear on commercials of some popular, what uh, consumer goods such as Pepsi, right? And this means that their followers, right, their fans will, automatically imitate the behavior of those, sportsmen, for example, and because of that level of trust, they believe that that product should be safe to be consumed. And then Pepsi is an example of that, even though it is harmful. All right, so even though it's harmful, and even though we don't need uh, Pepsi, we already have other, drinks. um and we could probably give, guys, remember that you need to say that it's in your country, not like, this is not a general claim. It shouldn't be a general claim. It's in your country, otherwise it will lack focus, and then would cause overgeneralization, which is a negative point about band 7 on task response. If you want to score past, beyond band 7 for task achievement or task response, you need to make sure that your examples are specific enough. All right. Then okay, so I think like we could then you see, now that you oh my god, uh now that I how do I put this, summarize it, walked past, or let's say walked myself through this, I realized that how we could, say that Pepsi, because we're actually like Coke was unnecessary. Yes, it was unnecessary. So it could be just because of Messi, right? And even though it is a luxury, we can't afford. We can't afford. I mean, it's bad for our health. It's not a necessity. So we would not only, so advertising would sort of like, how do I put this? Like, let's try to summarize it. So link is really really important with, especially when there is a agree disagree essay question type. All right. So the way I would write this is probably how choose Messi, choose Pepsi because of Messi, even though it's a luxury we can't afford. Um, we can't afford. So it would be bad for our health, So it's not a necessity. So we I mean, the conclusion we need to come to should sort of like summarize everything, and then we could use that summary, that like conclusion, all right, to then mention in our conclusion, in our actual conclusion paragraph. So let's try to think again. Celebrity endorsement, admiration, trust. Uh, so it can even no, we're kind of getting ahead. So admiration and trust, right? Uh, or as celebrities, what? A celebrity's influence is, let's say, huge, even if it means, well, like, what I want to say here, like, I think what I would write when I have to, write an answer for that is like how you can even risk your health and do it like that, right? So yes, and then how you would drink something regardless of whether it's harmful or not. Now step 4, actually it's not step 4, it's the next body paragraph, right? So I think what I would write in this one is the next idea, actually the first idea that we've come up with. So what I would put in the point is like, why would I agree with this? Well, because advertisers craft their message in a way that makes us believe that their products are necessity, not a luxury. So now here, guys, I want to start with an example, not an evidence, right? So because not an explanation, because this way I kind of spice things up. The structure of my answer is a little different. There's that variety which IELTS is asking for. All right, so iPhone 14, you know, featured or featured a new, let's say, function, like SOS, right? So it's like, in case of emergencies. So this makes it look like a. So my explanation for that is, this makes it look like a necessity, right? So I mean, we will be, led to think that okay, iPhone 14 is necessary because, you know, there might be emergencies. You never know. When in reality, they are only happening. They, those things only happen like quite very rarely, right? So this makes it look like a necessity, even though that function uh, can that function let's say that function uh, will be used rarely. And the link of that would be and like regardless of the price um, we will be led to think that okay, so iPhone 14 is obviously expensive, right? Regardless of the price, we will be drawn to uh, the let's say to the promises of the, let's say, producer. Again, I'm getting a little, what? Sorry, I'm getting distracted like constantly because there's that some loud noise outside. So I hope you don't mind, guys. But I believe the actual essay will be amazing. All right. So yes, that's how I usually plan. And again, like I said, if it wasn't for that loud noise, I would have you know gotten my point across even better. But again, like I said, I'm getting distracted like constantly. It's really annoying, but I hope you understand. So this is how it's done. You come up with a plan, and then based on this plan, you need to write a body paragraph, and it's just simple as that. This is to ensure that you stay on topic, all right? And then there's this is also to ensure that there is a reason behind each and every single sentence that you write, okay? So this is basically it, I think. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments or on Telegram. Thank you, everybody, and